The year 2003 is when I first met Fairtrade and fell in love with it. Not that I had not seen the label before, I had, but like the average person, all I knew was that it had something to do with ethical certification. In 2003, I started working for Max Havelaar Switzerland as an auditor for flowers in East Africa. The impact on workers' lives that I witnessed made it clear to me that fair trade makes a difference. From workers who initially did not have much of a voice, to empowered workers who could sit with management and confidently share their points of view was enlightening. From workers who initially had little understanding of their rights, to those that knew that they had the right to demand for better and safe working conditions was gratifying. In 2005, I joined Flowsat as an auditor, and the label was now, that was the Max Havelaar label. The label was now the Flow label. It is at this point that I started meeting small-scale farmers. Do not misunderstand me. I knew farmers before. My mother was an ardent farmer, and she made sure that all the children were involved in all farming activities. We'd wake up early in the morning at 6, go to the farm, either planting or weeding or harvesting. She'd bring us breakfast at around 9 o'clock in the morning, and we'd be working away until 1 p.m. When I was younger and a teenager with raging hormones, I really classified that as child labor. But actually it wasn't, because we only worked during school holidays or weekends, and the work we did was not harmful to our health. So it was child work and not child labor. I now look back, and I appreciate that life because it helps me in my work today to understand, identify with the farmers that I now work for. My early life as a Fairtrade auditor and my current position at Fairtrade Africa as the executive director has taught me a lot about the challenges faced and the opportunities that exist in small-scale farming. There are many, but today I want to address only 3: climate change, access to markets, women and youth. Climate change. We all know that climate change is affecting many parts of the world to the extent that it's one of the SDG Goal 13, take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. It's causing unpredictable rainy and dry seasons, therefore unpredictable harvest. It is making it difficult for tea farmers to plan on activities such as when to apply fertilizer or when to prune their trees. This makes it difficult for the farmers to plan for their future. In some parts of Africa, tea production is already shifting to higher altitudes due to higher temperatures. Increase in temperatures reduces yields, compromises quality, and promotes an increase of pests and diseases. On the other hand, too much rain, as we are currently experiencing in some parts of Kenya, has also a negative impact on tea production. Similar stories can be said of all other crops. In 2014, I'll give you an example. Our farmers in Malawi had floods that washed away most of their crops, and in some cases, claimed lives. As you can see, this farmer's house was destroyed. The farmer and his son died during the floods. That was the former tea plantation, tea farm of the farmer. All the tea was washed away. The rocks were washed onto the farmland. And therefore, all the farmers, there was no production, basically, during that time. The roads that they were using to transport their teas, if you look at that bridge, was washed away. Sorry, this is actually an old presentation. I had a more updated one today. So what did we do to help these farmers? As FTA, in partnership with the Malawi Fairtrade Network and the Fairtrade Foundation, we had come to the rescue of these farmers, and we had to come to the rescue of these farmers and their livelihoods. This experience underlined the need for diversification, income diversification. It underlined the need for climate change adaptation and mitigation techniques, and also working in partnership. Currently, we have an income diversification project in Ghana with cocoa farmers in partnership with Max Havelaar Switzerland and ITC, among other partners. The second is access to markets. Access to markets for their produce continues to be a challenge for many farmers in Africa. This could be because of a number of factors. It could be poor infrastructure, lack of market information, poor technology and education, quality and quantity of products, access to finance for value addition, et cetera, et cetera. There are many issues. In as far as a fair trade market is concerned, Africa and the Middle East, I'm sorry, I am with my current presentation, and this is an older one. So I'm getting a little bit confused. In as far as the fair trade market is concerned, Africa and the Middle East are doing poorly. By the way, when I talk about fair trade Africa covers Africa and countries in the Middle East, a total of 32 countries in total. Whereas we made up 64% of all fair trade farmers and workers in 2014, only 23% of premium came to Africa and the Middle East. When we look at only farmers, small-scale farmers, we make up 67% of all fair trade small farmers, but only 18% of premium came to us. This is a reflection of very low fair trade sales of products coming from the African smallholder. Traditionally, with the major cash crops, there have been an over-reliance on exporting raw materials to the West. There have been very few initiatives among small farmers of value addition at source, but also exploring local markets. A few farmers' organizations have started this. They've seen the potential of value addition at source, using the fair trade premium, but also partnering with businesses. A case in point is, I'm sorry, I'm going the other way. Okay, there we go. A case in point is a small producer organization in Kenya, Iriaini Tea Factory. It realized that Kenya, being a predominantly tea-drinking nation, with most households consuming an average of 1 kilogram of tea per month. I know the Swiss drink more coffee. We drink a lot of tea. They started a value addition project in 2007. Iriaini is a small farmers organization. It's got about 1,000 members. It sold at fair trade terms about 5% previously, and this went down in 2014, 2015. 2% of their production is all they were selling on fair trade terms. And this is why it was important for them to look at alternatives on how they could sell more, and they decided on the value addition project. They later actually became the first small producer organization in Kenya to pack at source and sell their tea locally. So you see there the packages that now they're selling locally packaged tea. And what they did with the premium money, they bought a van. So this van goes around the neighborhoods selling tea to whoever is interested in tea. And this project was made possible through a partnership with Mark & Spencer of the UK. And as Fair Trade Africa, we worked closely with a cooperative. Now, if you look at that, within 1 year, look at the increase in the fair trade sales locally. So it's made a big difference to them. The dips, if you see the dips, you'll see one dip is around December, going December, January. That really is going down because January is about the time people are going back to school. Most monies have been used in the December festivities and the school fees to be paid. So there's less cash floating around within families. And also you see it in August, September, that's also school term beginning, etc. But there's 300% increase from the time they started selling locally to, I think, April of this year. So that is Riani, value addition at source and local market initiative. Women and youth. These two groups are often left out of decision-making, often have no land rights, and yet you have women doing the bulk of the work on the farm. And youth are expected to be the next generation of farmers. Inclusion of women is critical for community livelihoods and for ensuring the sustainability of farming as a business. If we look at a case in coffee, growing region in Kenya, despite doing up to 70% of all the work in growing coffee, women farmers in this union frequently do not hold any rights to what they grow. However, one man has made a difference for this woman. Mr. Kosgei took the initiative of coffee bush asset transfer from men to women. He transferred 300 bushes to his wife and lobbied the rest of the board to also do so before they lobbied the members to follow suit. Members were told to give 50 coffee bushes as entry points for women membership to the union. The result of this, after the first year of this project, is that 440 women now own an average 250 bushes each. This has empowered them to the extent that they have formed an association that enables them to get grants from the government and other stakeholders for other income-generating projects. Plans are underway for value addition for these women's coffee, and this project was in partnership with the Solidaridad, the Fairtrade Foundation, the Big Lottery Fund, and Gansi Overseas Aid Commission. For the youth, we are starting a project in partnership with Fairtrade Finland and Polig Limited, Finland's largest coffee roaster in Ethiopia. Through this project, the next generation of farmers will be trained on quality production, climate change, adaptation, market processes, and youth-inclusive, community-based monitoring on prevention of child labor. So, what is the vision for a sustainable future for small-scale farming in Africa? It all resonates in the three examples I've covered today: diversification of income sources, climate change adaptation, value addition at source, domestic markets, women involvement, youth involvement in farming and decision-making, public-private partnerships, sustainable sourcing practices by more companies. Thank you.